And some people doing a film will, you know, say, yeah, the director, he's God. So we'll let the director do what he wants. If he says, you know, jump off a bridge, or jump off a bridge. If the director says take the clothes off, I'll take the clothes off. Then there's other people that actually have their own brain, their own identity, and say, well, there's some things I will do. I'm not doing that. You know? You'd rewrite it.
Other people with independent power.
Well, power over themselves. The power over themselves. Yeah, someone say, "Oh, your pride. Oh, that's wrong. That's a sin. That. Oh, your pride will punish you." You know. I just think people think that they need to tell everybody how to live their life because they've somehow discovered the best way to live. You know. And again, that's a bit of alpha maleism, isn't it? Because we're not just in a world where it's survival of the fittest in terms of the strength you have, the physical strength. These days, it's now how mentally strong are you? Because we've developed, you know, and developed everything along those lines. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at the history and traditions of men passed to other men. And some of those were on the inside, you know, and, you know, had the power. They was introduced to the halls of power and the ways of acquiring power and maintaining the power. And some would call that witchcraft, some would call that the manipulation of souls or psychology. And they'll use all of that, whatever gives them an advantage.
The priest.
Whatever gives them the advantage, whatever allows them to cope, it's all good, isn't it?
Is it? For the parasite, it might be good.
Yeah. Well, that's why when people look at themselves, they've got to be happy with who they are, aren't they?
Really? Maybe if you're dissatisfied with who you are, it's an incentive to improve yourself.
Well, you know what I meant by
Happiness with yourself, complacency with yourself, self-satisfaction.
Exactly.
Why change, why grow?
You got to look at yourself.
I have enough. I have sufficiency. I have super.
So that's the hardest thing for anyone to do, just to look at themselves and say, well, am I being the best that I can be? You know, because knowing the problem is good, but it only identifies part of the coordinates needed to live a life.
Oh, I heard a bit of David Icke coming out.
Eh?
I heard a bit of David.
Oh, no, I'm not doing it from that point of view, but maybe it sounds like it. Maybe we agree on something, who knows? But to get the other coordinates, the expression of who you are, you know, has to align itself, doesn't it? With one set of coordinates. So, for example, you're given a series of laws by society. You learn those laws and rules as you go along. And then the other part of that is, how does that make you feel?
How does it make you better?
Yeah. Well, are you trying to make yourself better based on...
Isn't that the whole point?
You're asking profound questions. I mean, the core essence of a human being, I believe, you got two types of people. You got people that want to do good, and people that want to do evil. You know, you got what they would call normal people, who are loving and caring and sharing, and you got psychopaths who are not loving and caring and sharing.
You're saying there's a fine line between them, or there's a big distinction between them?
There's black and white and everything that's grey in between. All the shades of grey exist.
A soldier who goes abroad to fight for principles of freedom is somehow good. Or is that the workings of the psychopath?
The workings of the psychopath working on him.
The psychopath behind the psychopath.
Well, that's more likely.
It's somehow good and right to learn how to kill. and to turn over your brain to someone who will give you an order to shoot and kill.
Well,
And the parasite behind that, which is also psychopathy, and so they're fighting for the causes of freedom and some sort of moral truth that I can perceive.
Well, it starts with that individual going and signing up.
There's one to do good and there's one to do evil. Duels, we think.
It starts with that person
Maybe
who goes to sign up.
Some evils which are in the hands of the wise should be recognised, not necessarily given vent to, but still recognised, because they are almost a sign of what a person will do.
Not knowing the difference between right and wrong, I think, is a big problem. That's what it seems to be becoming clearer to me. Not actually knowing anymore, because there's so many shades of grey that are so similar to that. You know, is it black or is that charcoal grey? Is that grey or?
Maybe it's nice to have those moral traditions kind of blurred, so people have to know for themselves. And be willing to bear some sort of personal responsibility.
Well, you notice the Bible talks about having white robes. I mean, why the colour white? Who knows? But white's very distinctive. White reveals everything, doesn't it? Having an unblemished white garment versus one speck of dust goes on it, and you are consciously knowledgeable that dust is on there and where it is, then you're going to see it. You know, and it gets dirtier and dirtier until it's grey, and then dirtier and dirtier until it's black.
Yeah, but then again, some other wise people have said things that moderation in such things. You don't play guitar which has been over-tightened or is too loose. You try and over-tighten it, you're damaging the whole thing that you're trying to accomplish. But with moderation, it plays the right chord. And maybe that's what it's about. It's about playing the right chord, not about being too wound up that you can't infringe on anything. You can't.
Well, to play the right chord, I mean, you say the right chord, there is therefore a universal agreement as to what that tone, what that pitch and frequency actually is. To be able to play music with other musicians, though, we have to tune up together. We have to know that this is the coordinate. We align ourselves with north. We get our compass and we check it, and now we're all aligned with north. Therefore, everything we do from here on will be in perfect synchronicity.
But then a musician working on with himself.
You cannot get synchronicity without tuning yourself.
Learning his guitar, then tuning it according to his own thing, and putting those cut notes together into the song, which is pleasing to the ear. Yeah? Even
Not just to the ear, though.
If you put him in a band, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a bit novel. That's a bit unconventional." Well, what's it matter if he can't play with you? It sounds fine by himself.
But as I said, apply the metaphor of the situation.
Do we have to agree to the same modality of A through to F as there been no other musicians on the earth that have done beautiful music without?
Well, whoever they're performing with,
Chinese music is somehow an Indian, which maybe uses a different scale.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Modal tuning. You can tune relative to.
And is that the best
the sound that you want,
or is it just a convention?
Well, the convention is that whoever is in your team, whoever's playing that music with you, would all have to be modally tuned. Otherwise, you end up with dissonances. And those dissonances don't allow for the true chord, the true sound to come through. As a society, we have dissonances of ethics. Our morals and ethics get dissonated or dissed by people. Oh, you believe in God, dear? You must be some kind of weakling. How dare you be so soft? As if what they're promoting.
Where's that coming from?
There's been an unwritten urban myth about religion in general. You know, starting around the time that it was promoting evolution in schools, because for it to be culturally accepted, they'll always go to the young. They never go to the old and try and give it to the old. They're already stuck in their ways. They've got their values. They know it's hard to get to them. So they do it through school. And therefore, it's quite obvious to see, well, who's got the power to do that? Well, the government has taken the responsibility to teach these things. But we also have a responsibility to get back involved with everything, every aspect of public life that the government is there to help us run, and we take a more active role in doing it. It's no good complaining the government, because really it's us. They don't know what we know.
Well, what do you know in terms of evolution versus creation?
Interesting questions, that's what I know. I know that the answer is not set. I know that for every right answer, there's a wrong answer. You know, for every so-called absolute fact, there's theory and guesswork. You know, you see, it's almost two different things. But then when you look at it a bit clearer, you realise it's theory, and therefore if it's theory, it's religion. The theory of evolution is religion. You know? Religion is the theory of creation, I suppose, which is science. The actual, viewing of the facts. According to what limited knowledge was available at that time. I think the more we know, the more it actually agrees there is a creator, there is a God. Stephen Hawking says he believes in God, he believes in a creator. And they just don't know what form that creator is.
Every new moment brings the destruction of the old.
The creator and the destroyer, yeah, the yin and the yang, the accepting the good with the bad, the loving of your enemies.
Is there such a thing when there's just flow? Is the passing of the moment bad? Because new moments come. Because it can't even be discerned into moments, except it's a one long now.
According to us, is the death worse than the birth? Or is the birth better than the death?
Well, if you read the Bible,
if you allow interpretations, but maybe there's a certain set of people that actually need that. I mean, we're assuming we're far from death, but a lot of people would be probably ashamed to admit that when they're on their deathbed, they will feel fear of the unknown. A lot of people, they're quick to convert and say, you know what, oh God, forgive me, oh, I don't know what's going to happen now, oh, I'm not going to be anything, I'm not going to exist. You know? The pain of death. I mean, dying is a removal of things. Who's been there and come back and told us what it's like, really, you know?
Death hasn't been something which has been universally feared.
But the story of Christ, right? I think there's still a nugget in all of us. It's like, why are we, able to love life and not fear death? You got some people who are very morbid and almost look forward to the day they're gonna die. Or like, oh, I've only got so many days left, I'm gonna die. And be consciously aware that time is short.
Well, in that case, it's a sense of personal ownership, which should be grateful for. The fact that you can will in the state of death nature, you would say, it shows the extent of your strength of spirit, of will, of character to determine such things.
I'm not so much saying they will it, but they are focused on it as if it's an event of celebration. You've got people that are.
Well, look at Messiah. When Messiah's here, it's all about how to live. This is how you live. There is a God. This is how we interact. if you see the relationship between me and my father, develop it in yourself.
So what's the next bit then? The conquering of death.
Death is also a willed thing. It's like, this is how you die. I've taught you how to live. Now this is how you die. You die forgiving. You die with love. You die with active volition.
With as much dignity as you can.
Duty and dignity. And honesty to the principles you've always upheld.
Right. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these programs, they're just about the graphicness of looking at. Oh, look at how you can see the cartilage and the bone in his neck as you cut his head off. That's their focus of death. The blood, the physical, what we see, not the spiritual. What underlies every single thing. All the principles that we claim to be principles have spiritual domains. That's what people in the old days used to call the gods. There was a god of the wind, there was a god of writing, there was a god of the sun, just the different elements broken down, the laws of physics given, deities. And maybe that's become old-fashioned, so therefore we'll say it's ridiculous to call those things gods. It's ridiculous. But check it. Are you God of them then? Can you turn those laws off and stop them from existing? Or are they really God over you? Was there some wisdom in the way it was given mythical powers? Now I'll get back to what you were saying about astrology, or I'll let you get back to astrology and how that kind of relates to the gods, the 12 characters of man, the 12 months, the 12 seasons, the influence and the impact, and the myth of the story. What is it trying to show about human character? Is it true?
Human character is going to be discovered by every person, isn't it? What's their own character and the growth. But the thing is, if you're going to divide everything into 12, I've got the principle. 12 parts of the world according to the time in the sun, according to hourly differences. Easily do it. Gives you a more broad perspective of humanity when you can see a proper distinction of the whole totality of people on the world. It's got to be done. Apart from that, apart from being able to relate to a person as your brother now on the world.
But is it enough to say that there's only 12 characteristics? I mean, the Bible has got the 12 disciples. The astrology's got the 12.
I think it's going to be comfortable for most people to recognise the division of the earth into a New Jerusalem, with every tribe partaking. If you're going to use it,
but is it not a case of self-fulfilling prophecy? If you tell a person, a human being, this is your characteristic, and you will exhibit more of this characteristic.
Believe it or not, there'll still be people who will believe, because it's useful. It's a useful tool to understand the division of the earth in terms of how the Father showed.
Yeah, it's a useful myth. There's no actual lines on planet Earth.
In terms of morality, how are we going to interact with a brother? Sometimes it's with dishonesty. Sometimes it's with as much truth as we can stand. So it's good and bad. It's brother, but we can't escape each other.
Well, you just said before that such notions of good and bad, because we need a place we can convene. We need coordinates, whether it's time, whether it's longitude and latitude, whether it's language. We need ways of convening that are common to all.
Those can be learned, but we've got to recognise that certain moralities have not allowed us to grow. In terms of how we're going to live together, it's something we can discover as brothers and sisters.
Is it a case they've not allowed us to grow, or have we just not grown to realise what the true message of it really is?
Not everyone's had the luxury.
Right, when religion was taken out of schools, that was almost like the red flag saying, right, danger.
Why was it danger? Why wasn't it
because
from the harm that has been done through religion? I'm not saying Christianity's right just because I'm a messiah. Because Christianity has been interpreted through Paul and every person who hasn't actually fulfilled what they're here to fulfill, which is becoming the great I am. They're just been bullshitting people.
Well, what is the real
in terms of
difference?
their power and agenda.
What's the real difference between, say, Buddhism,
There's no
Islam,
real
and
difference.
Christianity?
Yeah, I am Buddha. Yeah, I am Krishna. Yeah, I am every avatar. It's me.
Right.
I'm back.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
But
Those
aren't you
with
also
a
here?
with a
Do we-
backing, those with the backing of some, I'll say, pseudo-religious philosophical text. Yeah, that they have to grow with. It's not just a case of you just read
Jules,
it. It's a
am
conundrum.
I even looking for converts? The thing is,
No, I'm not saying you are. The Simon of Magos, business people who want to make money off religion and don't truly value those ethics. Yeah, the liars.
Yeah.
But you've got true people and you've got liars. You've got good people and you've got evil people.
We're not talking about myths now, we're talking about life. We're talking about a man and God.
What is the
And it's,
percentage of
and it's-
truth versus the percentage of lies that you tell? It's like that in an actual human being.
They say that the time it takes truth to put its boots on, the lies go already halfway around the world.
Yeah,
But the truth lasts longer.
yeah, it's easier to tell.
And
You can tell that
it's not-
story
it's not
backwards and
it's not even
forwards.
necessarily easier to tell the truth, but it will outlive the lie.
Well, the I'll use the word vehicle, the vessel, the vehicle that carries the message is us, and inside of us is tools that measure every bit of information. Is measuring it according to what it knows. Is it the truth? Is this going to evaluating it? Yes, exactly. They're important. How do we evaluate? Without coordinates, without a ruler, without a compass. It tells you in the Revelation, get your ruler and measure the city inside and out. And you think, well, what's this ruler that is being spoken of? Well, the ruler is love. Measure it against, is it love? Start with inside. Because if you don't start with inside, how can you measure outside?
That's just a straightforward use your ruler.
Yeah, that's their interpretation. They've
No,
taken
it's not their interpretation. They would folly it around with love. And
Do you know
blah,
why
blah, blah.
that
It's an actual thing, Jules.
Yeah, do you know
get
why
your
that
ruler,
map
you divide it
has
like
ruler
so,
lines
and then
on
you've
it?
got
Because
Reuben,
they
Simeon, Levi,
externalised.
Judah,
No. They
Naphtali.
externalised the ruler before they internalised it. You must internalise the ruler. Therefore, there is no ruler. There is no spoon. There is no rules. There is no law book of all these laws must be adhered to. No, just your heart. If your heart is right, you'll do the right thing.
But then again, there are certain self-impositions which...
Look. Right? It's all about
Yeah,
this guy is no. Leave it on a minute. Leave it on a minute. I want to use this as an example because it's been a long time. I want to see where they're at. Right? They basically say, well, look at them all. They're all stupid. They can't wear the bloody pants. You know, they drink too much. They're always getting into fights with the missus. We have to get called in, and they're there. You know. I'm in two minds these days about how things are with the police because I think, you know, from a day-to-day basis, that which we don't see, that is necessary. They do a bloody good job. But when they get it wrong, aren't we the critical ones? Just in the same way, when we, I suppose, commit the crime and they come and arrest you, aren't they the ones that get on the high horse? So it's a two-way street. You know what I mean?
What have police got to do with someone who's following a path?
We're the human beings first and foremost. That's just a job title. We need to get past job titles in order to really solve the problems that exist in the world. Job title in this day and age, when minimum wage is the same for everybody, what does it matter what you do? What does it matter what you do when the minimum wage is the same for everybody across the board?
What's that got to do with anything?
It's about. I think you could look at it two ways. Apart from the obvious that it's too little money,
Yeah, but
everybody's being valued in the same
someone
way.
can perceive their life in terms of lack, insufficiency, sin, or they can perceive their life in terms of sufficiency.
Yes, being glad for what you've got.
But then again, just because I have sufficiency because of the Father, does that mean that everyone has sufficiency? If not, then it's a state of affairs which I must address.
It depends what you're
Because
used to.
No, it doesn't matter what I'm used to.
If someone
It doesn't
just
matter
give you
what I'm used to.
£1,000 a week and you could complain and say, "Oh no, I don't need 1,000. What 200? 200 is fine for me." They say, "Listen, it's 1,000. Take it or leave
The
it."
thing is,
You're going to throw that 800 in the bin?
We're gonna have to
You're not
learn
gonna throw
how-
it in the
we're gonna
bin.
have to learn how to live together, because I don't really want too many people dying.
The more you have, including problems. So if you've got more money, you've also got a load more
No,
problems.
it's not about money.
If you've got a load of stuff, you got a load more problems.
It's not about stuff. Very few religious, spiritual traditions have a line of wisdom which basically says accumulate stuff,
And you'll be elevated.
and that's it. And
It's
that's
quite the opposite, in fact. It's the less you have, the more you come
Because if the
into.
most important thing is to have self-sufficiency in God, which is not just a pithy aphorism used by Christians, but a real reality,
Yeah.
extolled by those who've done it.
The true source of happiness. I know what you're saying. The true
Which is
inner
like,
contentment.
if you understand that there is a God, what insufficiency can you have which is somehow preferable to what God is doing with you?
Well,
If
the
you
true
pay
the true
attention to
insufficiency
Him,
can only be
well,
yourself,
well,
because you're
to-
not accepting what is.
Well,
Acceptance is a gift from God, and that really is a big statement. If you accept, like just accepting the Bible's written, that's what's in the Bible. You've accepted that's what's written, or you don't. What you think about it, how you feel about it, that is something else. And people are misunderstanding that. That's why they can turn around and say, "Well, God wants slavery, and He tells people from the Bible to have slaves." Man wrote the Bible. Who said that the Bible is God?
Well, God's.
That's
as
why
as I
you
as I understand it, will reveal Himself quite plainly when He's ready.